Hello, welcome back to the Real Talk Show. Thank you for joining us again. You know that we have our host, Rochelle Lawson, Queen of Fabulous from Blissful Living, and myself, Dr. Kim Brown Barber, better known as Dr. Kim from Journey to Becoming. And we welcome you back to the Real Talk Show. It's a live stream podcast designed with you in mind as women to be able to connect on this greater mindset and inspire each other to motivate, support, and just unite women around the world. So we are happy you are here with us today. This is a safe space, a safe place. It's funny that we talk about that because literally the panelists who will be introducing themselves later, and she and I just talked about the safe place, right? And so this is a safe place where women can just come together and discuss real issues that are in our community, right? So that we can be able to talk about them and give wisdom and receive wisdom and talk about everything so that we can make this world a better place. And we know we need it. So I am the founder and CEO of Journey to Becoming, which exists to coach clients in their journey, because it's all a journey. Every day is a journey, and even when we meet our goals, it's a journey, right? And we're here to develop the strategy of motivation, empowerment, accountability that we need to be able to succeed in our businesses and classes, universities, and even in our personal lives. All right, so co-host, talk to me now. Talk to me. Tell everybody about the Queen of Feeling Fabulous.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rochelle Marie Lawson. I'm the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, multi-business owner and president, founder of Blissful Living for You, which is my business that helps you all to live the life of your dreams by focusing on the truth of wellness, wisdom, and wealth. And with regards to that, I love doing this show because it just gives us a place as women to discuss issues that affect us women today without feeling some kind of way. It's an open forum, it's loving, it's supportive, and everybody's opinions or values or whatever they share is very sacred. And the fact that we get to do it with all of you and we get to share this experience live, it just is really, I think, something that is very safe, unifying, and gratifying to us women because we can talk about stuff that affect us. So that's me, and it's just my honor to be here and have the conversation with all you ladies and you guys out there in the live world too. Send us comments and chats. Also, I want to say if you like the show, please subscribe to the show. That is very important. And then also share the show with others and, reach out to us if you ever think you want to be a panelist on the show. Reach out to us as well, and we'll give you more information about that at the end. But Dr. Kim, back to you, girl. Passing
All right. As you can see, we have a good time. Okay, so everybody relax, have fun out there and in here. We want to be able to have our guests to introduce themselves. So let's start with you, Cindria.
Hello. Thanks for having me. My name is Cindria Matthews. I'm co-owner of Horticulture Beauty Supply. I also have a full-time job in marketing. I'm a wife and mother, so I know all about the balancing act that is and how important mental health is. So I'm excited to be a part of this conversation today.
Awesome. Thank you. Jordana.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jordana Henry, and I'm a high school teacher here on the Monterey Peninsula. Been teaching for the last 12 years, and I'm also the proud parent of Sabria Henry Hunter, my 20-year-old college daughter, my daughter who's in college. And so, yeah, I'm really happy to be here and talk about mental health.
Excellent. Welcome, welcome. And as you can hear some feedback, because Jordana and I are in the same place, okay? This is real talk, so we just tell you what it is, right? So if you hear a little feedback, that's where it's coming from. It's all good. We're just hanging out. All right. So just as we were talking about a little while ago, it's real important. We've been seeing across the nation, not only during the Olympics, but even before the Olympics, with a lot of athletes, particularly women athletes, coming out and talking about mental health and being brave enough to have the conversation about mental health But it was existing beforehand. There were people talking about it before, but it's just now it has a different platform. It has a more universal platform, and so we're seeing that when we look at different things, that one out of I believe the Mental Health Association lets us know that 1 out of every 5 women in the United States experienced some sort of mental health condition in the past year, such as depression or anxiety. And if you add the COVID on top of that, you have even more people that are experiencing some sort of mental health condition. And so we're finding this more and more, that it's been a stigma for a long time, where no one wanted to talk about it. No, or either if you did talk about it and you were brave enough to come out, it was viewed as a weakness and not strength. And so we see this as a strength, as people being able to have the boldness and the confidence to come out and say what they need, as opposed to hiding. Because if you look at the percentages of women, and not only women, but women and men who have hid it and not received treatment, it's a high percentage. I think it's over 60%. And so it's really important for us to start talking about these conversations openly and not just looking at it as, just one particular area, such as the sports that we've seen it in. It's in every area. So the way I want to kind of start the conversation is, when you think of mental health, what do you think of? Because we always think of, are we thinking of it in a certain way? Because a lot of times when you say mental health, people go to just, bipolar and that's it. They don't think of anxiety and depression or different other things. So what is mental health to you, first of all? What is mental health to you? When you think of mental health, what is that? And then not only what is it, how do you feel that you take care of your mental health, or do you? So let's start with Jordana.
So I guess when I think about mental health, I think about it's how in tune I am with myself and how I'm caring for myself emotionally. I always tell my students, are you overwhelming your brain? And then beating yourself up for overwhelming yourself, right? It's like, I think our society is becoming increasingly challenging in comparison to maybe what we might have been asked to do, 3 decades ago. We have grind culture. We're working more than ever. And so I really feel like we're asking a lot of ourselves in today's society. And so when I think about mental health, I try to put that in perspective of like, am I taking care of myself? Do I know when I need to take a pause? Am I being honest about my feelings and not just going on because I've got to clock in or I've got to go to work or I have these things on the schedule? So I think about like regular check-ins, and I try to, like right now, school just started with my students. And before I'm even diving into content with them, we're doing things like creating a happiness savings account, presupposing that there may be some times when you are feeling down and out of it. What are the things that you're going to go to pick yourself up? And then talking about how you advocate for yourself when you feel like you're overwhelmed, and acknowledging that that's a reality in today's society. Because again, I compare what we're asked to do today compared to what life was like in the past, and things are ever changing and so much more complex. So it's just one of the ways that, I tend to tackle mental health. And it's so funny because I tell my students, this is not just about you. These are things that I'm doing as well, so that we can, again, before we dive into the content and start with the year, that I'm making sure that they're taking care of themselves.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. I love the savings account idea, right?
Yes. Oh,
I think about that, Rochelle.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. I think it's a concept that should start when kids are in primary elementary school, because they do see depression in children at very young ages, and it's alarming that little children are depressed. Because what do little children have to be depressed, right? So I think it's a great concept and a great ideal. And with so many things that we do in America, we sometimes wait too late to educate our children about things so that they're well
Mhm.
wealth, so to speak.
Mhm.
And the time period that we need to educate them is when they're young and when they're sponges and they want to absorb the information so that they can carry it forward. So mental health is very important, and I think even in today's society, um, it's one of the things that people still either don't want to admit or neglect to see. And as a healthcare professional, I've had to deal with some challenges with mental health individuals having breakdown and crises in the emergency trauma department when I was doing that. It is quite disturbing, and now that it's more prevalent, and I can't even say if it's more prevalent. I think there's just more awareness about it, and people
Mhm.
are no longer trying to hide the challenges that they're having mentally. And the whole pandemic is a whole other thing. The whole socialization and not being able to have that human contact, so to speak, other than your family, very close to your realm, so to speak, gave a lot of people challenges, which was interesting for me to see because so many of the kids today are on the technology. So to me, I didn't see the challenge, but apparently them not being able to interact in school was a huge taxing thing on their mental health.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's a fabulous ideal, and I think mental health is something that we should not be afraid to talk about because I believe everyone in their family has somebody that has some challenges, whether you want to admit it or not. Uncle Louis, well, he always was some kind of way, but that's just how Uncle Louis was, right? So I mean, it's beautiful. Unfortunately, it's sad in the same context that it's not sometimes not taken seriously, and then
Exactly.
also
Exactly.
the ability to medicate people, and sometimes people, particularly those that are depressed, sometimes they just need somebody to listen to them, or somebody
Exactly.
they just need somebody to listen to them with a calming presence and a calming heart. And so, yeah, that's my take.
Exactly. Exactly. It's very important for that. So, Cindrea, where do you weigh in on this?
Yeah, I completely agree with both Rochelle and Jordana. Mental health for me is, having a level of peace within yourself, a sound mind, and also, just making sure you're taking care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, that you're addressing whatever, issues that you might be facing and not just bottling it all up or sweeping it under the rug. And honestly, sadly, the concept of mental health is even a newer concept for me over the last year. It's been something that I've kind of actually focused in on because I'm what I like to call an ambitious girl. So from when I was
Mhm.
young, I was, driven by my ambitions. What am I going to do next? What am I accomplishing next? Am I accomplishing enough? Am I doing enough? Am I, grinding hard enough? And that was really my existence. And I think over the last year, it was really God who really told me, like, sit down somewhere, just like get, just be still, rest. I really learned the importance of rest, and that's a
Mhm.
huge
Mhm.
part of mental health. Like, it's
Exactly.
such a simple notion, but it's something that people don't talk about enough, people don't prioritize enough. And so that has been one of the ways that I have prioritized my mental health, learning what it meant to rest, even with my multiple priorities. And then also just making sure I'm taking care of myself. So it's little things to implement into your day. Like, I'm a mom. So when I get up in the morning, obviously my focus is, what do my kids need? Like, what do we have to accomplish for the day? Where do we, what do you need? But I had to build it into my lifestyle to first thing in the morning, take care of me. So I created, or, started to be more consistent with my morning routine before I even get my kids ready. And yes, it did require getting up before them because, as soon as they're in your purview, they're gonna take your attention. So getting up before them, making sure I have my morning routine, having, my even something as simple as like a consistent skincare routine. So I know that it's the simple act of like taking care of myself that sets the tone for the rest of the day. And of course, I'm going to be the best mom I can be, the best wife I can be. But starting the day with looking out for myself kind of just helps me to keep that in mind. And that's okay.
I love that, girl. I'm stepping you.
Love that. That's right. I'm like, yes.
Because as a younger lady than I, that's so important, particularly when you are, as we say, in the hustle and grind of life. When your kids are little and you're hustling and grinding and trying to build things and do things and make things happen and take your kids, and you wearing 97 hats. So
you
often
forget that human is one
themselves. And I say, if you don't take care of yourself first, how the hell can you take care of anybody else in the capacity that they really deserve for you to take care of them, as well as you giving that, right? If you're not mentally balanced and you don't love and nurture yourself first, there's just going to be problem after problem after problem, and eventually it'll manifest out. So the fact that you are doing that, I salute you, girl. And if anybody is watching this live, hopefully you guys paid attention to this.
Definitely. That's a definite good salute. You haven't dropped the mic yet. Yeah. You're giving a salute.
No, but that was like, hey, we haven't even done a high five. So, girl, bam,
we haven't done
bam.
the high five. Drop the mic, but now we're doing the high five and the drop the mic. So it's all good.
We still got there's opportunities for a mic drop. You never know what these
yes, we do. Bring. Yes, we do. I'm waiting on it.
Hey,
I'm waiting.
I'm not underestimating. We just getting started.
Not at all. Not at all.
Kim, I wasn't gonna act up tonight. I was.
Yeah, you are. I'm waiting on it. I'm waiting on it. It's all good. It's all good. This is all part of the Real Talk Show. We have fun. We talk about real issues, but we have fun so we can be real, right? And be able to enjoy life. That's all part of even the mental health. Part of mental health is laughter. Like laughter is medicine for the soul. So, it's good that we have this laughter and that you're able to laugh. And even ask yourself today, how many times did I laugh today? How many times did I just have that laughter? Right? It doesn't have to be a hearty laughter, but how many times did we have a good laugh today? So I think that's important. I know some of the things that you were saying about, make sure you take care of yourself. It's like the glass, right? You got to fill your glass all the way up full before you can pour into somebody else's glass and be able to help them and do the things that you do. Because if your glass is empty, you have nothing to give. Just like you guys were saying, it's the glass, scenario that I think about. So in knowing how we look and view mental health, my next question is, I'd like to hear from you all. What did you think when Simone stepped out and said that mentally she was not ready and that her mental health was more important and she needed to step back in during the Olympics? But yet she didn't leave. She rooted her teammates on, but she said she had to step back because she was not mentally ready and prepared, and she needed to take care of that. What were your thoughts? Let's start with Sandria this time. We'll go opposite.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was huge for her to do that on such a major platform, and taking her own mental health seriously despite the expectations that were upon her. I thought it was brilliant and, good for her because of so many reasons. I think, we all can get caught up in other people's expectations, other people's need, for us to perform for them. And we put our own mental health on the back burner. And I'm glad that she didn't do that in this case. And I think it spoke volumes, to be at the level that she is. And to have done that, I think it definitely sparked a lot of necessary conversations. I think it was, a brave thing for her to do. And I think it probably, she may not have been thinking about it at the time when she did it, but I'm sure that it helped to empower her even further. You can take care of yourself and prioritize yourself. Nobody knows, us like we do, so she knows what her body was capable of, and she was able to feel the mind-body disconnect and address that versus pushing through it and then potentially, injuring herself and creating, a whole host of other problems. So I definitely applaud her for taking that stand, for doing what was right for her. And let's be honest, she has nothing else to prove to anyone. Like, she's already the greatest of all
There
time.
you
So
go. There you go.
Why?
Exactly. Exactly. I love it. How about you, Jordana?
I can echo a lot of the same sentiments. I think for me, I was really excited to have the conversation with my students about, even though she doesn't have anything to prove, even if she didn't have any medals, she still didn't have anything to prove, because I look at them and I want them to be able to advocate for themselves in the same way. And it also opens up a conversation about the pressure that athletes are under. I know that we had a conversation about that in the first week of school. We get to see these Olympians glamorized on TV, but I have my students make some inferences about the type of pressures that they are under that are really unnatural pressures. And so I'm really proud of her for doing this. Not just because she has nothing to prove, but really none of them have anything to prove. If they feel like at any point that, I need to step away, regardless of if they have tons of medals or no medals, that we have to normalize, advocating for your mental health. And so I'm hoping that people come away with that message, is that, even if you don't have any medals, if you know that you need to take a break, if you know that you can't go on, you still need to speak up for yourselves.
I agree.
That's all right. I love it. And you're right. I think a lot of times I heard you use the word normalize, that, certain things have been normalized, that it's okay if you want to take a break and you've gotten to this point, it's okay to take a break. But if you haven't got to that point, it's not okay to take a break because we've normalized it, right? That's what I'm hearing you say. And that's true. And that kind of goes back to what even, Sandrea was talking about. You have to know we know ourselves. You know what you can take and what you can't take. When you need to take a breath and when you don't need to take a breath. So I think it's important because you use that word normalize. What does that look like? Because even with, you look at Naomi, right, Osaka, and what happened there. How do you compare that to what happened with Simone? Rochelle, I just want to even hear from you on that one. I know
think
you're
it's
the host,
exact same.
co-host.
I mean, I think it's the exact same thing. It's unfortunately both ladies took heat for it, but I think Naomi took a lot of heat for it because she was the first to do it. And as a woman of color, anytime you're the first to do something that goes against the norm of what is expected of you as a performer, so to speak, then it causes a stir for those that are really uncomfortable with your race to begin with, because you're supposed to perform no matter what. So I think with regards to Naomi, she took a little bit more heat because she was the first to say, hey, you know what? I've been having these issues and I really don't care about doing a interview and sufficing for you. I need to take care of me so that I continue to be on top of my game. And Simone did the same thing, and it was funny because I was like, oh, go girl. I'm so proud of you. You take care of yourself. You don't have anything to prove to anybody.
There you go.
Nobody do what you've done, and probably it'll be a long time before somebody will be able to do what you do. But the whole fact that you decide on this big platform to make your mental health a priority, particularly when you were not secure in doing the athletic things that you needed to do safely, right? Good for you, because you're not a performer for the world to sit and watch. You're a person, and your mental health, physical health, and emotional, spiritual well-being is the number one priority for you. And I'm glad she did that. And it's funny because after she did that, all these other athletes came out in support. You see,
Yes.
They do this, right? They do this, and we just take it for granted. Alex and Felix running her, 400 meters and kill it in the net. We take for granted that these people it's just what they do, and they don't have any mental stress behind it. Every time you go up to those blocks, there's a mental stress. I ran track and field from the age of 10 through college. I ran the 400 meters. I know every time you step up there, there's a mental stress. Every time we go to do anything in life, there's a mental stress. But to be able to acknowledge that and put that first on a huge platform like the Olympics is absolutely phenomenal. And I salute her and I support her 100% because now her stature is bringing mental health awareness to the athletes
Definitely.
in a way bigger platform. I don't think
Exactly.
And if I
anybody
can
else could have
add,
brought it to that level except for Simone Biles.
yeah,
Yes.
and if I can add a thought,
Sure.
while on the topic of athletes, I think it's also important for us to pour into the younger athletes coming up and to just, make sure that they know they're more than just their athletic ability. I have a nephew who's really gaining a name for himself in high school as a freshman, as the new breakout star. And I just really felt strongly to let him know, yes, we're proud of your accomplishments, but we're proud of who you are beyond all of that. And at who you are and things you're accomplishing outside of sports too. And I think, as the people surrounding these, phenomenal athletes or entertainers or, young people with potential, it's important for them to know that, they're more than just what they're maybe gaining
Yes.
notoriety for at that moment. And I think that contributes to their ultimate mental health too, because when you're getting that type of shine on one particular aspect of yourself, then you start to, that becomes your identity. And what if that goes away at some point? Then you're just lost in the sauce and thinking that you have nothing else to, to give the world.
Therefore,
And so I think it's important to just let them know
Yes.
life is bigger than just that.
Okay, I'm dropping the mic.
oh, all right.
We have a drop
So
the mic
I
thing on our
agree.
show. Okay, I'm dropping the mic. Rochelle, I'm dropping the mic. I'm dropping the mic. Okay, that's a drop the mic. Where is it, Rochelle? Where is it? She's got her little
You know
thing.
what?
Come on, get that phone.
I
Get the phone
don't,
out.
but
Okay, now that's the mic for today. Okay,
There we
that's
go.
the mic for today. It's
The
okay.
mic has been dropped.
The mic has been dropped because that says everything. It says volumes. We are more than our accomplishments, right? Period. Whether you're an athlete, whether you're an entertainer, whether you're in education, whether you're in a health field, whether you're whatever, whoever, whatever, businesswoman, whatever, we're more than our accomplishments. Because I think sometimes, and I can really identify, sometimes, because we're so used to accomplishing and achieving, that if we don't get it, it takes us back because we're like, whoa, because sometimes we forget that accomplishment is not defining us, right? Accomplishment is not the identity of us. It's a part of, what we've done, but it's not who we are, right? So I love that. I love that. So I think it's real important for us to even look at it, even in a broader sense. Like we talked a little bit about how Naomi and people on a broader scale are looking at it. But even for women in our community, young women, older women, middle-aged women, how are some of the things that affect us, like body image? Think about body image, and because I know a lot of young ladies and older ladies that they have stress, anxiety, and depression, even, and some eating disorders because of body image and the way it's been portrayed and how it impacts your mental health. Let's talk about that a little bit. Jordana, talk to me.
Um, you know, I completely agree that body image is huge, specifically for our young girls, specifically for our young girls of color. I was telling Dr. Barber earlier that with my Black Girl Magic Club, we literally had a workshop on body image and how what they see in social media impacts their reality of what is normal. And for a lot of our girls who sometimes are more shapely, um, they internalize that, their looks are not as beautiful as the lighter complected models that they see, or actresses or social media stars that they see, who are buying their bodies and getting attention. Meanwhile, in our community, our girls aren't propped up and told that they're beautiful, and not told that they're beautiful by their families, but told that they're beautiful by society. And so I see my girls in real time suffering from that. And I have to admit that the challenge is how do you make people feel beautiful in a world that is constantly reinforcing this false narrative of body image. You know what I mean? Like these false narratives. And like now we're seeing everybody getting these, the term BBLs, and changing their bodies. And that's not to shame people who make that choice either. But when we look at like what's contributing to this depression or this dissatisfaction with our own bodies and how we were born, I would say that social media, television, movies, and who we're celebrating in our society contributes a lot to that.
Definitely. Wow. That's awesome. And the fact that you have, like you said, real time girls that you're working with, and hearing these conversations from them, live conversations about how they're feeling and how you're dealing with that. I applaud you for the work that you're doing with your group. And so it's sad to hear that, but that impacts our mental health. That is huge. When you hear young ladies, being depressed and developing eating disorders because they don't feel like they have the body that's being portrayed, and how sometimes it's hidden. They don't even talk about it because they don't want anybody to know about it. It becomes a hush thing until sometimes, unfortunately, it's too late. But at least you're developing a pipeline where girls don't have to feel that way. They can feel safe enough to talk about it and to see what kind of ways we can be able to feel good about the skin that we're in, right? Zendrea.
Yeah, I completely agree, and definitely can see how, social media has contributed to this, unfortunately. Like we say, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, all of those, you're seeing people at their best and what they want you to see. And then you're comparing your everyday to that. And it's unfortunate. And it's really just a distraction from really loving yourself. And I think, it's hard because you can't change, the world overnight. But I think, the work that Jordana is doing is wonderful, working with the youth, young men and women, to really get comfortable with who they are beyond their looks. I think it goes back to along the lines of the conversation we were having of, defining yourself by your accomplishments. Some people, start to define themselves by their looks, or, feel like, people aren't going to want to be their friends, or, their dating prospects are affected by, the way their body looks or the way they look, or they don't have, the things that other people may have or what they're seeing on social media. And I think you combat that with, promoting authentic self-love and, acceptance and who you are, the unique way that God designed you, and really instilling that in our children and in the youth. And that's the only way we're going to combat, because, the standards of beauty are going to continue to shift, unfortunately. One minute it's cool to be skinny, the next minute it's cool to be thick, the next minute it's cool to have, long hair, short hair, be black, white, blue. Like it's going to continue to change, and we can't continue to change with the trend. Like we would never be happy with ourselves. We would be, all over the place. So it has to start with self-love.
And if I can jump in just to piggyback on that, that's actually the question I've been exploring with my girls, is like, what does it really mean to love yourself? And, for each of us, that's an individual question. It's an individual project of like, first we're like, what does it mean to really love, right? And then what does it mean to love yourself is a question worth exploration that doesn't have like an easy answer. It's more about, being able, like you said, is to not be taken in by all of the distractions. And so I would love to hear what any of you ladies have. I know I'm not the host, but like, what does it really mean? What does self-love look like? I would love to be able to take that back to my girls, because that's what they were asking. Like, what do you mean love yourself? What does that mean? What does that look like? And I think that's an important part of mental health.
Yeah, if I can jump in on that one.
Jump in. See, this is what I'm like. It's like double dutch. We jumping in like this. Jump in.
I think one of the important things is not comparing yourself to others. And I think that, that's where it starts. They say what compare.
We got to drop the mic again.
Oh, Lord.
Say it again. Stop. There you go. Even Jordana's getting in on dropping the mic. Yes.
Okay.
Stop. Say that again. Stop.
Stop
Say it
comparing
again.
yourself to others.
Say it one more time.
Stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of joy. It truly is, because and that's one of the things I try to instill in my children, even from now they're 3 and 5, like even not comparing them to each other. And that's in behavior and what they like, they dislike, anything. And, if one person has something, another person, I don't have that. Well, you don't need to have the same thing as that person, or you don't need to have your hair the same way. Just really instilling, like, be your own competition, be the best that you can be. And that's something that I also ran track, growing up, and something that I was never I'm not like super competitive with other people, but it's always like, is this better than my last time? Is this the best that I can be? Now my daughter's in track, and, 5 years old. He's like, was I the fastest, mommy? I'm like, well, did you get a better time than you did last time? Be your own competition. And I think that's where it starts, so that you're not constantly comparing yourself to the person next to you. It's like, keep that within, always strive to be the best you can be, grow in all areas. If you do want to improve your looks, your weight, whatever, work hard, do the healthy things to get there. There's nothing wrong with improving yourself, but don't let it be based on what you're seeing next to you or, on Instagram. So.
I love it.
All right. Rochelle, come on and weigh in.
Right. I mean, it's just, I love the dialogue and the information that's being shared. It's so true. I mean, I think for one, children need to learn that at home, and it starts when they're really young. And I love what Cindrea said with regards to not comparing your children, because when you do that, you set that whole premise in their head. That's something that stays with them forever. And it's not a healthy way, and it's not a healthy place to be in. So starting with they're young, and recognizing their individuality and celebrating that, and letting them know that they are special. There's no one on the planet exactly like you. Even identical twins are not exactly alike. They have different DNA structure. So celebrating that individuality is huge. We need to just amplify and celebrate each child's individuality, each person's individuality, because there's no one on earth that can do anything like they do, right? And that starts at a very young age. But also, what I see, because I did have some comparison issues, not me per se, but with society with me when I was growing up. So what I see today that I think has really amplified the issues is that darn social media. Because people, I got grandkids that get on there and they think all of that is real. That's happening all the time. And they're, Cardi B is always out there doing this, that, and the other. And no, she ain't always out there. She goes home, she takes care of her baby, she does other stuff. What you see on social media when she shows it, she's showing it for a purpose, one, to promote herself, and two, that's just a moment in time. Or not even Cardi, because I love Cardi, but I'm just saying these kids don't understand that it's a moment in time, and you can create, edit, do whatever you want to whatever you post to make you look some kind of way. Okay, so don't compare yourself to people on social media, because again, there's no one on the planet like you, and only you can be you, and you are absolutely beautiful the way you are. But I think that's a huge issue, and I think that's a huge issue as to why so many children, or younger people, I'm going to say, are having mental health issues, because they cannot, for one, they're addicted to social media, and two, they cannot detach from reality and what is really just a moment in time.
That's exactly. I'm glad you hit that. That's another drop the mic, because I'm telling you that's it. Not being able to detach from what is real and what is not real, right? That's why we have all these reality shows, and there's nothing wrong with having the reality shows if you understand and put it in perspective, because you can make the reality show whatever you want it to be like, but is that real life? When the cameras go off and social media shuts down, who are you? That's what I say. When the
Some people
camera
go
shuts off
home to their
and the
houses, cook
social
dinner,
media
and
shuts
do their
down,
life.
who are you? And you
Yeah.
have to be comfortable with that person. You know what I'm saying? You can develop whatever you want, whatever image you want through social media, right? But when that shuts down, who are you really? Because that's the person you have to live with and love. That's the person you have to be able to be okay with, right? And be able to just say, I love me, right? The way I am. Not the way I'm going to be, but the way I am right now. Yeah, I may be working towards a certain goal, right? But I love me now. I don't have to wait till that I get to that point to love me. And I think that's important so that we can be able to, help our own mental health as well. Um, we talk about different things that impact mental health. Stress does too. So as we see stress impacting mental health, and we've seen that a lot before COVID-19 and during COVID-19, right? Even more so, we saw people, where stress was impacting, where people were getting social emotional support animals. More social emotional support animals were registered during the COVID than any other time. So let's talk to that. How does stress impact you, and how do you deal with that?
I think Sindrea has hit on it before, and it's one of the things that, again, I work on with my students, like before we even get into the content, is the routines. Because the routines show that you really understand the stressors that are in your life, and you're making an attempt to develop a routine to kind of combat those stressors. And I'm always telling my students, you may make up a routine and it looks good on paper, but it doesn't really work for you. So I think first step is like identifying those stressors in your life, acknowledging that those are real and that there's nothing wrong, that you're stressed. Like, you can be in a room full of people and ask, raise your hand if you experience stress on a high level. Almost the whole room is going to raise their hand, just because of the type of society we live in and the culture that we live in today. But identifying those stressors and coming up with a plan that works for you. And sometimes you have to test that out, right? You may come up with a plan and say, all right, this was my morning routine, like Sindrea was saying. And then she may find out, like, this actually is making me more stressed out. And then I also think that, like, we can't, like, I see a lot of students, we have all these things now because mental health has become more commercialized, where you hear people saying, like, oh, okay, coloring is a de-stressor. Well, not for me, because I will sit there with my crayons and plan out the whole picture before I even get, and it ends up being a more stressful thing. So, I think that we have to, like, really be real about who we are and what works for us, and coming up with the routines and the plans that work for us. So yeah.
That's good. That's real good. All right. How about you, Sandrea?
Yeah, stress was a huge one for me. And I think, with multiple priorities, you kind of just get used to it. Even before I was a wife and a mom, just school and extracurricular activities. But then over time, your body like gets used to that high amount of stress. It doesn't make it any more healthy for you, but your body gets used to it. And then you thrive off of that, and then you're like, oh, I work better under pressure, this that, and you just create more stress for yourself, but you're just maintaining unhealthy habits. And so that's one thing. And for me, where rest came in, and pacing myself, and actually it was, just thinking about, God, and he created the earth, the sun, the stars, the moon, but he did it over a course of 6 days. Could have done it in one day, but no, he paced himself, took his time, and then rested on the seventh day. So I think one day I was reading Genesis, and that like stood out to me, and I'm like, if God paced himself, what am I over here rushing for? Like, God could have done it all in one day, but he chose not to. And I think he wants us to, practice those same types of habits, and planning prior to what Jordana said, having a routine. And also, I think recognizing what stresses you, and that stress is not necessarily a good thing. Of course, there's a degree of stress that, good keeps you going, but being overworked, stressed out, recognizing that it manifests in different ways is also key. Like sometimes my stress will start to manifest in my body. So I'll get like this really sharp pain in my back. And I won't mentally feel stressed at the time, but my back tells me you're stressed. And I'm like, but I have it under control. I'm doing this and doing that. Blah, blah, blah. And my body's the one that's like, no, you need to chill out. You need to make some sort of change. And so I think, sometimes because we don't actually realize we're stressed, we think everything's okay. But that goes back to like knowing yourself, know the different ways that stress manifests for you. Maybe all of a sudden you can't think straight, or you can't sleep at night, or you're not eating, or you're not enjoying the things that you usually do, like just being in tune with yourself in the different ways that you might be just switching up. That's not normal. And that will kind of alert you that you need to change something in your routine to just get balance.
Yeah, that's really good. The sleep thing is big. Like you say, being able to look at the indicators. I know a lot of people, like if you look at insomnia, a lot of people that can't sleep, they think it has to be some major, issue, but it can be just simple as, oh, I was sleeping good, but then this week I wasn't sleeping good. Well, why? I have a lot on my mind. Oh, what? So then that means whatever's on your mind is stressing you, right? But we don't recognize it as that, right? And we just, oh, it's okay. It's just have a lot on my mind. Okay, so then we have to kind of start breaking it down. Like, what are the things that are on our minds that is keeping us up, that's stressing us? Because sleep is everything. People fail to realize how important sleep is to your mental health and your physical health, because you have so many restorative actions that are happening when you sleep, just to relax the mind. I mean, I know so many times that I'm working on something, I'm trying to figure it out and trying to figure it out, and I'm just so intense and trying to figure it out. And one of the things I taught myself, and that my mom taught me, and I taught my kids, is walk away from it and just relax, do something totally different and relax, right? And there's even research on this. And so I went and I relaxed. And that's why people get things in the shower. All of a sudden, an idea come to them in the shower because you relaxed. You're not thinking about nothing. You just relax. You got nice warm water hitting you. You just kind of relax. So when I do that, all of a sudden it just flows, because those stressors, end up really blocking sometimes. So you have to be really careful of that. They're good stressors too, as we know, right? Like getting a promotion, buying a home, getting married. Those are good stressors, but they're stress. Ask anybody who got married and they had to plan their wedding. They were happy, but did you get stressed? I see some of y'all. Did y'all get stressed? I don't know. Some people did, some people didn't. Rochelle, did you get stressed when you got married?
I was a bitch. So yeah, I was stressed because I just was yeah.
Okay, so you was
definitely
stressed.
I was not nice. I was B.
Yeah,
so
that was a good stressor, because she was happy that she was getting married, but it still was stress. So
yeah,
there's different types of stress.
I wasn't, I was real young, so I was, but yeah, I was 18, and it was
Right.
stressful. One, I
Yeah.
got to take care of myself, but two, it's just a change of life, and anytime there's a change of life,
Yeah.
major change of life, those are some of the, getting married, having a baby, a death in the family, a change of job, career, loss of job, also financials, all of those are stressors. It's funny because when I first started Blissful Living for You, I really focused on stress, and I did a lot of stress education within the corporate arena. And it was amazing to me that when I would go into to teach a workshop and I would ask people if they were stressed, 95% of the room would say they were not stressed at the beginning. At the end, that 95 would switch to yes, they are stressed. And of that, 50% of them needed some additional assistance or wanted some additional assistance with managing their stress. The key is that most people don't realize when they're stressed because they've been operating that way for so long. They just think it's a normal way to live, whether it's mental, physical, emotional, spiritual stress. They just operate, so they just think that's normal. And some of these things began as developed when we were children and how we handle things. But it's not normal to be stressed. And whatever is in your mind will manifest in your body, and your body talks to you. Like like Sandrea was saying, she's stressed and she knows she gets a back pain. Now there's like, what's this connection up here to back down here? But that's her body talking to her, and she's learned to recognize that. For some people, they just have digestive issues that start to surface, or, for a lot of people, their blood pressure goes through the roof. These are things, or they get headaches. These are things that people need to pay attention to, but so often we discount them for other reasons. And it really, if you just stop and take a step back, like you said, Dr. Kim, take a step back and allow those corticosteroids to disseminate and relax in your body, that will help with decreasing the stressors that cause all these changes in our mental and physical health and well-being. So very, very, very important. And again, a lot of people do not recognize it and don't put a lot of value into it, because that's just the way they've been operating for so long. I've seen it. It just is amazing to me every single time.
I was gonna just jump in and say, I think that one of the conversations I'm having with my students to make it more real for them is like, how are you caring for your brain and looking at your brain as being like a mass. I tell my kids that, we have artificial intelligence now, but like your brain is the OG of intelligence, and looking at that like being a computer. And I tell them sometimes you just have too many tabs open, or like, how are you really, you're asking your brain to do so much. And then you're beating up on yourself when you can't do it all and you have too many tabs open, but just really having them start to think about it in a tangible way. What realistically are you asking yourself to get done in this day? You know what I mean? And then how are you doing? And then even recognizing some of the craziness of like a 6-period schedule in my student situation, and telling them like, this is a stressful, situation that you're already in. And so really helping them to visualize or really think about their brain and what they're doing to their brain when they're asking their brain to do so much, or when they're, I call it, leaving so many tabs open. What starts to happen when you have a whole bunch of tabs open and you're constantly asking your computer to do stuff? Eventually it starts running slower. And so really starting to, have them talk about like treating your brain better and what that really looks like, I think is a great way to start entering that conversation with students or children.
That's awesome. I love that. Now, if you could see my computer right now, I got too many tabs open. Okay. I was like, okay, so like, is she talking about me? Like, right? Look.
My computer, but she way over there. How she know?
I'm just saying. I do. I'm Sandrea, you can relate to me. I'm one of those types of, I'm an achiever, that assertiveness, what's the next thing, right? So yeah, I got all these tabs. I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I guess I need to go back and close some of these tabs.
No, that's real.
Like, I love the Real Talk show, because it's real talk, right? It makes you have to look at your own self. And that's the realness of it, right? And so I hate to close it, but we right there at that time where we got to get the last comments, but this has been good. I didn't even want to stop. All right. So let's have your last words about mental health and what you would tell the community and about mental health and taking care of their mental health. Let's start with you, Jordana, your last comments.
Well, I would encourage everyone, before you feel like you're in a situation again, to start really looking at your life and developing some routines, and not routines that have to be permanent, but routines that work for that season. I just went back to school, so my summer routines have changed, and I'm trying to find a balance that works for this particular season. And then even with my students, and I'm having them do their happiness savings account, because I know I'm going to have one of those moments where I need, some inspiration, or that I'm feeling down. And usually the way I'm built is like I go through my happiness savings account and I get to number 5 before it's something that I actually want to do. And so, building yourself a savings account of different resources or tools that you have, that when you know that you're in a situation where your mental health isn't good, that you have some resources and some tools that you can pull from. And then sharing those tricks and strategies with your friends, and normalizing having a conversation about like, not only what it looks like when I'm not okay, but what are some of the ways that I pull myself up? And let's start having some of those conversations. Is what does it look like to come back from a mental health episode, right? And starting to normalize those conversations and sharing those tips and tricks, and then realizing that some of them may not work for you. I already shared my coloring story, but like finding out really what works for you.
Right. How about you, Sandrea?
Yeah, I would just really encourage like getting in tune with yourself, taking that time to, get to know what stress means for you. Even, like the conversation we had when we started off, what does mental health look like for you? What are the examples of mental health that you've seen? And just really make it a part of your lifestyle. Like for me, as I mentioned, I feel like, God had to really slow me down over this last year for me to ponder on these things. And then, yes, I will get back to, striving for all of my goals and ambitions. But now I've established some good habits to incorporate and be even more efficient in, chasing after my dreams, because now I'm able to focus. Now I'm able to, perform from a healthy place instead of a desperate place or a stressful place, an unhealthy place. And so really, I think it starts with getting in tune with you. And also that also lends itself to self-love and really learning to love and accept yourself where you are, with what you have, with the way you look. And I think that is just fertile ground to really grow from there. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today. You have been awesome. You both just brought it. I mean, I love it. Like I said, I didn't even want to stop it, but this was just amazing. And I know everybody in the community that will hear this and on other platforms will love this this dialogue. So this is wonderful. So Rochelle, why don't you take us out?
Okay, so thanks again, ladies. Love the dialogue and the conversation. And I just want to say that if you are someone and you're watching this, or you know someone that's might be having some mental health challenges, first of all, it's okay to talk to someone. If you are having those kind of challenges, find somebody to talk to, and or go to a professional and get help. It's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. So put your mental health first and foremost. The second thing I want to say is if you want to just do a quick check-in to just get a grip on how you're feeling for the day, even before you get out of bed, when you wake up, lay there for a minute, take about 5 or 6 deep breaths and check in with your mind and your body, and to just allow that oxygen to flow in before you jump out of bed and rush to your day. Just take a few moments for yourself and know that you're doing something good for yourself to help keep yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally, spiritually balanced, just by taking those deep breaths and recognizing that today is a new day. It's the first day of the rest of your life, and it's just a journey, and you're on that journey for this moment in time. So I just want to say that. And of course, I love doing this show, and I hate that we have to end, but I understand. So Dr. Kim, thank you for having these fabulous panelists. Thank you for the topic. It's a very important topic. And for everybody that may see this show, watching this show, please share this show with everyone. These ladies brought it home, and they brought some really good words of wisdom, not just for adults, but for our children as well, because our children are suffering alongside us, and we need to recognize that and give them the help and support that they need so that they can carry forth to be strong and healthy and well-balanced individuals. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And tag back to you, Dr. Kim. Bring it on.
Got it. All right. We thank you all for showing up today and for being there for each other. All right. Continue to be there for yourself and be there for each other. Stay safe and stay well. And we'll see you next time on The Real Talk Show. Bye-bye.